All right, it's Tim with Hyper Elite Fitness, and what we're going to talk about today is carbs, fats, proteins. We'll get into a little bit of like keto, why it works, why it doesn't work, all that kind of stuff. So let's get with some basic, science groundwork on how these things work. So every gram of protein that you eat is 4 calories. Every gram of carbohydrates that you eat is also 4 calories, but every gram of fat that you eat is 9 calories. So fat contains more calories per gram than everything else. So whenever you're adding up everything, that's how you would do that math. So 100 grams of fat, 900 calories, 100 grams of carbs, 400, 100 grams of protein, 400. So let's talk about how keto works. So people eat, the average American's like 60% of their diet's carbs, which is kind of crazy. But carbs are the most readily available, the most delicious. People drink carbs, so that's where they get a lot of that from. So whenever you do keto, what you're doing is replacing 60% of the calories you take with fat. So when you do that, fat's more satiating than like carbs. Also levels out your blood sugar, so you don't get as hungry, things like that. But why that works is you're cutting calories. Like every diet ever invented, the only thing that works, period, is making your calories lower than what you burn in a day. Period. End of story. Nothing else matters, honestly. So what keto is just a way of doing that. So you're taking out 60% of your calories, maybe not 60% because of fat, but like 50% of your calories, and then you add back in fats. Well, it's really hard eating enough fat to make up all that difference. So by default, you end up in a calorie deficit. Now, does it matter that you're in ketosis and that you're using fat as energy instead of carbs? No, not really. That's a side effect of it, to know that you're not taking in too many carbs. But in the end, it's still just a math problem. Now, if that works for you and that's easier for you to stay on track with, then that's a great diet for you. But some people don't do that well with having that kind of strict guidelines for a diet. So let's talk about another diet, intermittent fasting. So let's say you don't eat for 16 hours and you have, just that 10 or 8 hour window to eat. It's hard to take in that many calories in 8 hours. So that's why intermittent fasting works. Again, no magic about, burning more fat because you're fasting or whatever nonsense. It's because you're taking in less calories because you only have 8 hours to eat. Now, if that works for you, then do it. Now, if I was going to be building muscle, sometimes intermittent fasting isn't the best, just because you're not getting, it depends when your training is. If you're intermittent fasting and you're weightlifting, you really need to watch how you're doing it, just to make sure you're getting enough to build muscle. Now, if you're just trying to diet, it really doesn't matter as much. You're taking in less calories, so that's a win. And then any of the other diets, that's how they all work. There is no other way. Period. End of story. Not debatable. It's just calories in versus calories burned. Period. End of story. So remember, fat, 9 calories, carbs, 4, protein, 4. Now, in the 90s was the big low-fat craze. And the reason that works so good is because that gram of fat is 9 calories. So if you're cutting, your fat by 50%, that's a lot of calories. And that's why that worked. So anything works. You have to find what works for you. Most people work by being somewhere in closer to normal. They just watch their calories as a whole. They try to find what that level is for them. Some people may be under 2,600, they lose weight. Under 3 grand, they lose weight. Some people, down under like 1,700, and that sucks. The way you can increase your calories that you burn is, of course, cardio. So you can eat a little more. Or increase your muscle mass, because lean muscle takes more calories just to keep around. So if you have a lot of muscle, you can end up eating more calories and still lose weight. So that's what I normally suggest people do, is they build more muscle so they don't have to starve themselves. That is an easier, sustainable type of diet whenever you can actually eat food. Because if you're having to be like 1,500 calories, that's hard to do every day. It's not really sustainable in the long term. So that's just the basic simple math of how weight loss works. try not to be extreme, because it's just hard to maintain. Find something you can do all the time, whether that's keto, whether that's now. To me, staying in ketosis all the time and being keto all the time seems like a very tough thing to do, but some people really can. I would probably do intermittent fasting if I wasn't like trying to add muscle, just because I actually hate eating at this point in my life, because I've ate 4,000 calories the majority of my life, 3,000 calories a day, and I'm not a big eater. I've become one because I've had to. Like, people have seen me sit and eat a whole pizza would be like, "You're not a big eater," but I honestly prefer not to. I don't like to eat breakfast. I prefer not to eat till lunch. But these are just things I can't get away with, and I know, poor me. But so intermittent fasting would be my call. What I'd want to do if I ever had to lose weight. But you just have to kind of know yourself and know what you need to do. And the more you can know about yourself and what you can do, the more you can make a weight loss plan that works. That's why I ask a lot of questions whenever I do diets for people, like what their work schedule's like, what their sleep schedule's like, what their workout is like, because you kind of got to make it so it works for each person. So you can't just, blanket statements don't work. Besides this blanket statement, that is the whole core of this video, is the only way to lose weight is take in less calories than you burn. That is a blanket statement that has been proven true, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of studies. So if you can do that, you will lose weight regardless of what else you're doing. So remember, calories in, calories out is the end all be all as far as weight loss goes.